On the way this half hour, our local business spotlight gets shined on Bruce Dodd and the great folks at People's Home Equity. Also, the voice of the UT Vols, Bob Kesling, will be stepping into the driver's seat this morning. Looking forward to having a chat with Bob and a preview of Nightfall. All of that and more this half hour on Let's Chat.
Welcome to Let's Chat, the Tennessee Valley's premier show focusing on lifestyle and entertainment with Jess Raby and Chip Chapman, bringing you smart shopping tips, community events, and the newest trends. Now, let's chat.
We are glad to have you here as we continue on this Thursday morning. It is June the 4th, and as promised just a few seconds ago, it is the voice of the Vols, Mr. Bob Kesling, stepping into the co-pilot seat. Bob Kesling, good morning.
Hi, Chip. How are you? Good to see you. And good to talk to you.
Great to see you, Bob. First of all, thanks so much for agreeing to step in and sit with us here for a few minutes. And Bob and I made these arrangements a couple of weeks ago before we learned of the sad death of UT coaching legend Johnny Majors. First of all, Bob, my condolences on the passing of Coach Majors. He was truly an incredible man.
He was, and Chippy lived to be 85 years old, and I don't know if anybody squeezed more out of 85 years of life than Coach Majors did. And yesterday was everybody was saddened and stunned when you got the news, and you were expecting it. I mean, we'd seen Coach Majors, and obviously was going down a little bit, but still he had that great smile and that great look, and still challenged every day. But yesterday when you got past noon and you started hearing all the stories and people reflecting about just all the things he did and all the lives he touched and all the players, it almost became a celebration. And I think that's kind of the way it is today. Everybody's looking at, this guy was truly an icon in Tennessee and all over the country, and a legend. He coached so many great players, was involved with so many players, had an incredible playing career at Tennessee, coming out of Huntland High School. And so he's, they don't come along like Johnny Majors every day. And so we need to just treasure the memories now and just the impact he had on everybody in the state of Tennessee.
What do you think made Johnny Majors so different as opposed to other coaches in the SEC and in all of college football?
I think his dad played a big part in that. Shirley Majors was the guy that taught him a lot about discipline, taught him the kicking game. I think that was one area that Coach Majors was ahead of all these other players and coaches, because he understood the kicking game. And then, of course, also being around General Neyland when he got to Tennessee. And, of course, General Neyland was a guy, if they had the ball, he would punt it back to the other team so he could play defense. I mean, that's how much he valued defense in the kicking game. And so Coach Majors really put a lot of emphasis on having good kickers and not making mistakes in the kicking game. He also had great discipline that he learned from his dad, I'm sure. And it was about details. And, he was not the easiest, and I think all his players will tell you, he was not the easiest guy to play for. He was not the easiest head coach to work for. But when you look back at your dealings with Coach Majors, you know that he made you better, and he pushed you harder than maybe you thought you could be pushed. And you were a better player, a better coach, and a better person for being around him. That's quite a testament.
But you look at the accomplishments that Johnny made while at Tennessee, taking the Vols to 3 SEC championships, so many other incredible benchmarks. I mean, he took the Vols to 2 Sugar Bowls and a Cotton Bowl, winning all 3 of them. And a pretty impressive record when you look at his entire body of work, 29 years as a head coach, and countless hundreds of young men whose lives all affected for the better because of this one unique individual. And another thing, Bob, I wanted to bring up, of course, all the eyes in Tennessee are on the passing of Coach Johnny Majors. But just a few days ago, we lost Pat Dye, another legendary coach. And despite being hardcore foes on the field, these two guys were very close off the field.
Yeah, they really were. They were good friends. Now everybody talks about the start of the SEC season in Tennessee and Florida and all that. But back when they were going head to head, the first SEC game for Tennessee and Auburn, that was the game that started the season. So Tennessee, when you go back and look at the success that both Tennessee and Auburn had during the 80s, it always kind of dictated who won that first SEC game, which was Tennessee and Auburn. And so they went head to head and in some just big time matchups. And a lot of people remember the start to the 85 season when Tennessee knocked off Bo Jackson and Auburn at Neyland Stadium, and that propelled the Volunteers to go on to win the SEC championship that year and go to the Sugar Bowl. So, I remember I was just a young reporter. I was just starting at WIBK in Knoxville on the radio when the Coach Majors came in 1977. So it was like a whirlwind when he came in, and he's coming off the national championship at Pittsburgh, and so he was going around doing all these banquets all over the country. Then he'd fly into Knoxville and just take over the athletic department, and then he'd go out and do some more banquets and come back in. So he was relentless in the preparation. And that first year, Pat Ryan, who was a quarterback on that Tennessee team, he just said that spring practice and two-a-days were just brutal because he wanted to find out who wanted to be on the Tennessee team. He wanted to know who was committed to the program, and he's apologized to Pat sometimes, saying maybe they were a little bit too rough. But then he got, in first year he lost 7 games. First 5 years he didn't have a winning season, and so there were a lot of people kind of scratching their heads. And then he got things turned around, and that victory over Auburn and Pat Dye in 1985 propelled Tennessee to the Sugar Bowl and really kind of launched Tennessee to being one of the elite teams in the SEC.
And we're going to continue our discussion with Bob Kesling coming up here in just a few minutes. Bob, hang tight. We're going to dig into some more personal memories of you and Coach Johnny Majors of the Tennessee Vols. Stay with us. We're back with more on Let's Chat.